In today's video, I'm going to give you a quick summary of the book How to Write Smart Notes from Sonke Ahrens. Hey everyone, Matt Giaro here, and on this channel I help content creators transform their ideas into an income. So if that sounds like you, hit the subscribe button now. So as a content creator or as a knowledge worker, you probably read a lot, you come across a lot of ideas, and the thing is that you probably already taking some notes into a note-taking system, right? But how do you actually get the most benefits out of them? Well, this is actually the main idea here behind the book, How to Take Smart Notes. Because the thing is not to take conventional notes, no. It's to actually take smart notes that will actually help you to really benefit from all the ideas that you come across and become actually a better knowledge worker and also become a better content creator. So what is the idea behind those smart notes? Well, the idea is quite simple. It is actually, or the origin of it's actually the Zettelkasten, which is a German word for slipbox. And there is a thing, or there is like someone whose name is Niklas Luhmann, who was a prolific thinker in the past century. And the thing is that he used actually a slipbox where he just indexed all his ideas, and by the end of his life, actually, his slipbox contains thousands and thousands of different ideas. So you really have to imagine, and you maybe already came across that image that you can easily find on Google, where you just see like a slipbox like this with thousands and thousands of notes inside here, and every sheet of paper here is just another note, right? And actually, what is quite interesting with this is that you can mix and match between your ideas. So the thing is that, so if you really want to really drill it down here, what we can say is why are actually smart notes important. So the first thing is that smart notes actually help you to think better. And we're going to see how in just a few minutes. The second thing, it will also help you to come out with new ideas. And the third thing is will help you also to create better quality content. So let me just explain a little bit. So the first thing, when we say that you can think better with your notes, what does that mean? It means that if you can implement this smart note-taking system, you are going to be interacting with your ideas. And the thing is, by interacting with your ideas, it actually strengthens the connections between them, which means that you'll be able to retrieve your ideas way easier, and you will be able to retrieve all those notes way easier, because the more you're actually interacting with something, the more familiar you become with it. Okay, so this is the first part. The second part is that you can come up with new ideas. And how does this actually happen? Well, it happens because you are actually thinking with your notes and not just actually archiving notes. What happens is that you become, as I just told you, you become more familiar with them. And by becoming more familiar with them, you'll also be able to play easy to play with your ideas easier than if you're not familiar with something. So if you just look at the past ideas that you've got in the, let's say in the past, what happens is that you probably saw that you always see same connection between things that you already came across or came across more than one time. Well, this is the exact same thing that's behind coming up with new ideas with a smart note-taking system. The other thing is that it also helps you to create better quality content. So what does this actually mean? Well, the thing is that our brain is good at remembering basically the big picture, right? We are not very good at recalling all the details of things that happened in the past, right? So I'm probably sure that you also experience that sometimes if you're just thinking back about a period of your life, you probably just think about or remember the big picture. You not really remember all the details. So as an example, if you're just remembering, well, this period when I was a student, well, you may remember all the little details that happen in your student's room, or how actually some details that happen at that time, right? So this is actually the thing. When you're working with smart notes, you leave actually the details for your note-taking system, and you leave the big picture for your brain, which means that you'll be able to free up a lot of mental energy. Okay, so with that being said, right now, if you want to take smart notes, we have to understand what is actually the purpose of a note. And this is crucial because we never really learn how to create notes. We just know that, well, look, if you have an idea, what you have to do is you just create a note, right? So you have an idea. So you have like this light bulb here. So you have an idea. What you do is you just take a note. Okay. So this is actually how most of people take notes. But the thing is that you have to understand what the purpose of a note is. If you just think like that, you're just acting as an archivist, which means that you're just archiving ideas. So you maybe just come back to them and then never really be able to take the best out of it. But if you think like an active, smart note-taking guy or a note-taker, the thing is that a good note, or the purpose of a note, is actually two things. So the first thing is that a good note actually helps you trigger questions, which means that it should actually help you to first maybe like, let's assume that you have like a specific note about a specific subject. Well, maybe you can ask yourself, well, does this really help in my thinking? Does it really confirm maybe a previous idea that I've got about the subject? Or does it actually trigger some other question? So maybe what I thought here is not maybe the right thing, okay? So this is the first purpose of a note. And the second purpose of a note is actually that it helps you to combine different ideas, okay? So once you've got that the purpose of a note is not just archiving or being able to retrieve information, because this is what we actually think. We just take notes to retrieve information. No, it is actually more deeper than that. And by triggering questions, what you're going to do is you're also going to trigger different things in your brain. So you're not just being here and consuming information. No, you're just starting right now with actually asking questions and try to find answers, right? And the second thing is, as I told you previously, is you can mix and match between your ideas. So here comes another important concept that you can find in the book, is that the quality of a note, okay? So the quality of a note here, so let's assume this is actually a note. It's where does it actually resides? So where do we find actually that a note is like of good quality or bad quality? The answer to that is that the quality of a note resides in its connection with other notes, okay? So let me just draw that here. So let's assume you have a note that has a lot of connections to other notes. Well, what does that say? It says that this note is actually quite valuable, and there is a lot of potential behind this note. Okay, so once you understand it, we're going to see how to actually link between notes in just a few. But the second thing, the second important concept, is that the value of your note-taking system, or the value of a note, is more than the sum of all the notes that you have in your note-taking system. So let me explain that. So let's just assume that you have a note A, a note B, and a note C. So we just have a very simple note-taking system, and we just have 3 notes here. Okay, so let's just assume we have those 3 notes here. We could say that the value actually out of this note-taking system is just 3, right? Because we have just one, we have the first idea here, we have a second idea here, and we have a third idea here. But this is actually not the thing if you actually link between nodes, because not only do you have the value of 3 here because you have 3 nodes, but if you understood this concept here, is that when you link node 1 to node 2, you can come up with another idea, which adds a fourth kind of value point to the whole node taking system. Same thing happens if we actually can link B to C. So here we have another value, if you prefer. And what happens if we link A to C? Then we have another 6 value point here. So as you can see here, it's really the connection, and it's really the linking, and this is like the big idea here. It all comes down to the links that we have between the nodes. Okay, so right now that we understood that it's all about the links between the nodes, let's just talk about different nodes that you can actually have in your system. So I'm probably sure that you came across a lot of YouTube videos that actually talked about a lot of different kind of nodes. So you have the permanent nodes, you have the fleeting nodes, you have the evergreen nodes, you have this, you have that, and this can actually be quite overwhelming. And what I really got from this book is that there are actually two main kind of nodes. So you have the fleeting nodes on one end, and you have the permanent nodes, so permanent nodes on the other. What does that mean? So the fleeting nodes is the nodes that you are taking on the fly. So as an example, you have an idea, you're just going to record the idea, and the thing is that it just acts as a brain dump, if you prefer. Okay, so you're going to dump all your ideas throw all your ideas into the dump, and then at the second time, or you're going to go back to those ideas and you're going to sort them out. So the goal here is that every idea, because not every idea we put into our dump is actually a great idea, right? Sometimes you just have ideas on the spot, you think that, wow, that's great, but then you come back, let's say 24 hours after that, and you mind this idea was just is not as good as I thought it was at the beginning, right? So the thing is that what you're going to do is you're going to convert those fleeting nodes and those who are really valuable, and you're going to put it into a permanent node. So the permanent node is just a node that will actually live within your slipbox. That's like the 80-20 of it, right? And then you can, of course, make it more complicated, but this is the thing. So this is like the only thing that you have to understand. So you have here like kind of an inbox kind of nodes where you just put your ideas into an inbox, and then later on in a second, at the second point of time, you're going to transform the ideas that are worth transforming into a permanent node and just put them into the system. So this brings me right now to the last part here, and how to actually create a great permanent node. So remember what I just told you is a permanent node will actually live within your slipbox. So if I go back to what I just draw here previously, is a permanent node will actually live within your slipbox. Okay, so how can we actually create this permanent node? So there are three components. Let me just write it down here. So three components of a permanent node, of a good permanent node, if you prefer. So the first thing is that you have to understand, and this is really crucial, is that one node equals one idea. Okay? Which means that you're not going to put 50 different ideas into one node. So a good rule of thumb is one node, one idea, and you don't have to scroll in order to get the gist of the idea. So this is the first thing, which means that if you really want to take smart nodes, what do you have to do? You really have to isolate what's actually the meat of what you want to put into your node. So this brings me to the second point here, which is that you have to understand your node without the context. Which means, what does that mean? And it took me some time to really grasp that. So I want to explain it here in a very easy way. So any kind of information that you stumble across, there is a context around the information. So let's just say you just came across an information about how to lose weight, as an example, okay? So there is a context, which means that the idea that you found is actually giving you within a specific context. So maybe as an example, it could be a research, it could be a story, it could be anything like that. So what you have to do when you take your notes is you have to isolate the main idea. So the main idea, for example, is that carbs are bad if you want to lose weight. Right, okay? And then the author just gave you a bunch of research, a bunch of stories, a bunch of this, a bunch of that. What you are going to do is you are going to isolate the main idea from the context. So here we have the context, here we have the idea. We are going to extract the idea. And just by doing this, you're actually you're more than just a consumer of the content. You are actually working on this, which actually helps you with what we saw previously, like help you engage more with the material that you're actually consuming. And when you're going to think about like how to lose weight, this concept of carbs are bad, and like I'm just saying it like that, I'm not a nutrition expert, it's just like to illustrate this, you are going to be able to remember it way easier, okay? So the second thing to take a great note is to be able to isolate the idea from the context. And your note should be, so you should be able to understand your note even without the context, okay? So if I create a note that carbs are bad for losing weight, I can understand the concept without the context, okay? And the third thing is that you have to understand, because what we saw previously is that the value of the note actually reside in the link, in the links that you have between different notes. You have to understand on how to link a note. So if you want to link a note properly, the question that you have to ask yourself is not in which category does this note actually fit, as we do it with actually tags, okay? What we are going to ask ourselves is, when do I want to stumble across this note again? I repeat, the question that you have to ask yourself if you want to link your notes properly is, when do I want to stumble on this note again? And this could be like within the same category of the notes. So as an example, you have a lot of notes about health. Then you are going to maybe link this note to a note related to health, but it doesn't have to be like that, right? You could actually easily link this to something else, right? If it makes sense, of course, right? So this is crucial, because you have to understand that creativity is connecting things between them, right? Creativity is not about like finding a new concept just like that. No, it's actually linking between things. And the example that I take often is actually that, how did the smartphone actually come up? It came up between two ideas. Idea A, which is actually a computer. Idea B is actually a phone. And if you combine a phone and a computer, you come out with a smartphone, okay? So this is the exact same process if you want to be more creative and actually come out with new ideas. So I hope you appreciated this video. So the first thing that you can do right now is to download the PDF summary of this book by clicking the first link in the description. The second thing, if you like this content, if you want to actually make money out of your ideas and become a better content creator, be sure to subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to release more content like that in the future. And the third thing that you can do is, I'm pretty sure that YouTube has a great video to recommend you, so that you can continue watching my channel. That should pop up right now in front of you. And with that being said, I see you in the next one.